openSUSE conference in Czech Republic in Prague, and we have with us Doug today. I talked to you last time, and you do incredible work with openSUSE conferences and also as a PR, for openSUSE. I think I already introduced what you're doing, right?
Yeah.
But it's incredible to see, the way you organize these events. So tell us, what do you do at SUSE? On top of whatever all I told.
Yeah. So, well, I mean, my position is fairly big in all the points I touch and the people I talk with. So I mean, I help plan the conferences. I support the community in sending them out different things to market openSUSE, the community events that they'll have. I write the articles to inform the community, open source community in general, about what's happening with openSUSE, tumbleweed, leap, things of that nature. And yeah, pretty much anything that needs to be done, I kind of lend my hand to do it. So, okay, and I ordered the beer, of course.
Okay.
That's the most
so if Richard is not well, so you will also work on openSUSE and release it, right?
I don't think I can do that, but I'll try my best.
Okay, so you will try your best. That's good to see. How technical are you? Because you're talking about all these, you write blogs and everything. How you keep up with all this technology that you write about?
I mean, well, it's really been a learning curve for me. My experience was coming from basically a user, right? And just using the various applications out there to include, Microsoft, to include Macs as well. Being in the military and being a journalist, that was sort of what you used. And then, I started working for SUSE, specifically on the openSUSE project, and that was where really my first distribution I had used. So I've, as I said, it's a learning curve, and it's been a very steep learning curve for me, and it continues to be a steep learning curve, but I'm getting better.
So you said that you were in the military. So
Yeah.
and then so tell us about what was that journey all about?
Well, I joined the military, I guess it was about 9 months before 9/11. I had just gotten out of college. I had a nice amount of debt from student loans, and I joined the military, and they paid back my student loans. And my father served in the military, my grandparents served in the military, our grandfather served in the military. So it's sort of one of those generational things. And so, I took that path, and that path led me to, I guess, where I am today. And
You said you were a journalist?
I was. So I did public affairs for the Army. So you get all the training, all the skill sets, the training in communication and working with the media on a regular basis. Media escort, I did that in Kuwait during the surge, and just bringing in journalists and meeting some people that you couldn't imagine.
Did you meet Baghdad Bob?
Baghdad? No, I did not.
So how was the transition from being a public affairs guy for a military to an open source company? What was the?
Well, I don't think. I think it actually shares some commonalities. I mean, there is the aspect that you have this community, you have this. You could call it a brotherhood in a sense. I mean, everyone shares a common thing, and you have something in common, and so there is that sense. There's also very technical and very focused people. So those are the things that you could easily transition, into this and find yourself to be very comfortable with it. There is definitely different learning curves on like how, especially with the media. I think we talked recently about that, and the difference that you have with the military and having to report specifically on something, right, and trying to be as transparent as you possibly can. But yeah, it just, getting into the tech media is sort of a different animal. So, but you learn it, and there are things that transfer over, for sure.
Right. But you deal mostly, as I said, open-SUSE side of it. So you are not dealing with the corporate side of the story mostly.
No.
So how is it? Because the community is not as structured or organized as the corporate world is.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean that's I'm a point of contact, you could say, and I'm also out there and I'm meeting a lot of the people in the community, and I'm having these discussions, and I'm bringing these concerns to to the discussions of, say, the board. They might they get information from everywhere, right? And so, but when I'm in that face-to-face level with a few of the members I might meet that I have never met before, or that I have a relationship with, there are things we discuss, and it's easy to bring it to the board and let them be in touch really with the community. So, yeah, that's I guess, does that kind of answer your question?
Yes, it does. So when you are at these events, you do meet the community. But when these events are, how do you keep connected with the community?
Well, I mean, for the most part, I know a lot of the people in the community and all over the world. So my daily business could be sending a package to Brazil, to talking to someone in Indonesia.
What kind of packages do you send?
Usually the swag, the stuff that they would, that they would send or take with them to a open source event.
Right.
Yeah.
And when you write these blog posts also, the articles also, so how does it work? Like, who's your source? Is it like how XYZ project is working, but it's a community-driven project? So do they approach you, hey, Doug, we are working on this? Because company, I understand they have a release policy, but with the project, how does that work?
Yeah, well, so that works in different ways. I try to write a sort of a tumbleweed article once a week, if I can. And from there I
So
sort
you're
of
like
take
rolling release for tumbleweed articles.
yeah, basically. But I take the change logs. I kind of determine what happened, simplify it the best I can, ask the release manager the questions if I don't understand, and then with other articles, you'll have, for example, the recent fork that was announced from Spacewalk, and Uni being that fork. They say, hey, we have something. Can we talk about it? Sure. Let's talk about it, and let's see what you want to do, and just find the right wording. I mean, it's a discussion. It's an ongoing process, and ultimately, you're just trying to convey the words of the community the best that you possibly can with their input, and obviously giving them critical feedback on what you might want to change or might want to keep. But then, ultimately, for me, it comes down to the community decision. I mean,
right.
It's their change, it's their stuff. I'm just the
messenger.
I'm the tool.
You're the tool. Okay, that's nice to hear. Yeah. Okay. Is that your handle, Twitter handle?
No.
Let's talk about event, because that's where we are. And so, what kind of engagement do you have with these events team? Is there an events team, or you are the team? You are the one-man army.
Well, I mean, you mean like for organizing the conference, or just the various ones?
I don't know what aspects are involved with the openSUSE conference.
So with openSUSE conference, I mean, my traditional sense is that I have meetings and I have the input from the community, and then we kind of determine where we want to go. And then from other events, you'll have that come up where we're going to go to scale. We have a good open source community and openSUSE community in the Los Angeles area, and so there's hey, we're thinking about doing this, or we're going to attend this, and I say, okay, well, let me see what I can send you and what's the current messaging that we're going with, and just try to support them in that level. I mean, obviously, I don't know if you've seen the Getting Started with Linux magazine that we had made this past year, and we plan on doing that in the future too. I mean, sending things like that, just, you have your user base where they're, you want them to transition to Linux GNU, and so those are good opportunities. And
our viewers may not know what is the Getting Started with Linux, so can you just quickly, briefly tell us what?
Excuse me?
The Linux magazine, the project you're running with them, Getting Started.
Yeah.
So because our viewers may not know, so can you quickly just tell us?
Yeah. So that was a project where we wanted to bring in new users into the Linux environment, and how can we do that? Well, I mean, print media tends to be a way of doing that, and so we had talked with Linux Magazine about doing a special edition, and we had various people through the community write articles specific on, like, installation, YAST, KDE. We went with KDE as being the default, right? So we described different things that you can use, different tools, or we'll say your photo production or things like that.
So it was geared towards openSUSE, not in Linux in general, but how to get started. Using openSUSE, how you can come to the Linux world.
I mean, yeah, exactly. You phrase that exactly correct.
Right.
Just
exactly. Yeah, I mean, you have to use something. So
yeah.
And you're openSUSE, so it has to be openSUSE. What are the things that you do at these events other than beer? Drinking as well as serving.
Well, I guess I always have a beer in my hand, right? Yeah,
yes.
Yeah. Well, where I live, there's very good beer in Germany, so I can fit a lot in my.
You have to taste what you're going to serve your friends, so that's your job also. Like, you're a beer taster either way, and you have to make sure every day that the lot that you got today is the good one.
Yes.
And and one sample is never enough. What is the third bottle he made? So you have to just go through the whole batch. So
yeah.
Understood. How do you pick the beer?
Well, the beer, I know the owner of the brewery, but I actually didn't meet him until I started trying to get the beer. I was asked by the community, hey, we do an openSUSE beer. Can you get us one? And I said, let me see what I could do. And I started talking to different people, and they're like, oh, you should talk to Stefan. And I said, oh, okay. And come to realize Stefan was one of those people that you might have a recommendation on social media because you share friends, but you never met each other. And that's kind of how it worked. And we know it's a good beer because it's in Bamberg, Germany.
Right. And I was also at the light beer talk.
Yeah, Lightning Beers talk.
Was that your idea?
No, that was Anna's idea.
That her idea?
That was her idea, yeah.
That's nice, because but I think I sat through the whole session, but I think you need to change some rules. And number one is that they should at least take 3 or 4 sips before saying the first word.
Yeah.
Andrew Waffa, he did the right thing because he drank and then he said something. But most time people were just holding the beer, they did not drink it, so it's pointless. So please make a rule next time, talk to Anna, that at least 4 sips, then you start talking.
Will do.
And your beer should finish with your talk. Then it will be more fun.
I'm not exactly sure what the rule was on it. I mean, I just put out the information.
But that was a fun experience.
Yeah, that was really cool. I really liked that. And then, going into that, really, I mean, she was just elected to the board, and
I know.
It's all about bringing fresh ideas in,
So that was a fresh idea, beer.
Yeah. Well, and having the beer and doing talks with it was probably not to say it hasn't happened before.
Yeah. So when you work on these events and when you meet all these people, what kind of feedback do you get?
Well,
or what kind of feedback you care about?
I mean, the feedback I care about usually, I mean, obviously problems, right? If there's a problem, that's what you want, because you want to address that immediately as much as you can. So, but the other aspect is, hey, I didn't get enough swag or things like that, where, like, for example, with Scale, we sent quite a bit of stuff, and the feedback I got was it was all gone the first day, and I said, really? And I had been there a couple of years before, so I had a feel for what was going, and I was like, oh, okay, Better send them a lot more next time. But so that's some of the things that I get feedback with. It is networking as well, you know, having, for example, Libre Application Summit, if you're familiar with that. That was started basically as an idea from Shri, and at the Guadec in, I think it was the one in Sweden.
Okay.
Gothenburg. And from that, we kind of started cementing the idea, having some talks, having some meetings with GNOME, and then of course, you know, having that feedback from them. Also, like getting other people involved, having conversations with, say, KDE, you know, because with Flatpak, it actually involves both, right? So those, I guess those are the types of information bits that you get that you want to share, and you want to facilitate the communication as being open,
right.
Clear, transparent.
Right. And what's your takeaway from this conference?
Overall, it's been great. It was my first fork story I've ever written, so I mean that's you never, I guess, want to, but it's a natural part of our environment. So we had that. We had Leap happening at the same time. You know, if you saw me on the day of the release, I mean, my shirt was just drenched with sweat, and that was from me running around doing various things to getting the conference prepared, and then also doing the release and the constant Twitter updates, and you know, social media, putting out the stories and communicating with the press, of course. So doing all those things.
Awesome.
So I had fun doing it.
Yeah, and I'm sure that people who are here are also having fun. So thank you, Doug. It was nice talking to you today.
Thank you.
And we will, you know, catch up again next time at the next openSUSE conference.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Nuremberg, hopefully.